People ask me all the time, especially the kids, literally at the Jets parking lot last night, 17 different 15-year-olds. Gary, what should I put my money into? And I swear my answer was something you fucking understand.
Something
Whether
you
that's
understand.
Sports cars, sneakers.
While you were saying that, I said, I hope to God he says something you understand.
Something you fucking understand.
That's it.
That's
Don't invest in someone else's bullshit.
All right, we're back with part 2 with Howard. Obviously, an incredibly emotional ending. Speaking of emotions, we're filming this after the Jets had another debacle, so you may change. You may sense a very different tone. But obviously, those are silly things to be upset about. We ended with something incredibly challenging. Howard, where do we want to pick this up in part 2?
I thought maybe we'd go into where my head was just before 9/11.
Okay.
Right, because I'm thinking I'm the king of the world. Okay.
Sure.
I'm making all the money in the world.
Yep.
I have no debt, so no personal debt.
Right.
Cantor Fitzgerald has no debt, because what happens if you're making hundreds of millions of dollars a year, right? Well, why? Why do you need to borrow from anybody? So it's April 2001. Okay. I decide I'm going to declare victory in life. I'm not 40 yet. I'm going to turn 40 this summer. So I take each of my top 6 executives out to dinner alone.
One-on-one.
Me and one-on-one. I get up from the table. I walk around the table and I kiss them. I tell them I love them, right? That I love these people. We grew up together. We built the company together. I tell them I love them. I double their stake in the company from mine. I just give them, 25, 50 million each. And I just give it to them.
Yep.
And I say, look, I love you. I declare victory. So here's how it's going to work. I got little kids. Every day my little kids are out of school. I'm out. I'm going to go live my life with my kids. I'm not like stupid. I'm proving that I'm a smart guy. I'm going to live my life with my kids, with my family, be alone. This summer is going to be the greatest summer of my life. But when I'm in, same crazy man always was.
Right.
But I'm going to be out a lot. And I love you guys, and you guys can do it. You guys can run it. And I declare victory. And then I have my birthday party. Okay? So I turn 40. I have a big party in England. 65 couples. 65. So it's my birthday party. Yeah. It's not like a business thing.
Yep.
And then 9/11 happens. 20 people from my party get killed.
20 of the couples, like, because they were coupled
20.
up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 people get killed.
Individual people, yep.
So these are like the people I love.
It's your inner circle.
Of those 6, 5 get killed.
Yep.
5 get killed. I got the guy who lives in England. He survives. But every other guy gone.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, I'm like, so 9/11 happens. Not only do I lose the 200 people I personally hired and all the people we hired, and we talked about that, we hired all our friends.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's the rule, right? Because think about it.
That's how I run my world.
Yeah, it's your company. Why wouldn't you only hire people that you love? Like,
of course.
And I used to say to people at the end of your interview, right? Stare at the guy and say, do we want to spend time together?
Of course.
Because people think, oh, this guy's going to do his job. But you know what? You're going to spend more time with the people you work with
100%.
than you do with your family.
It's crazy. When you eliminate the math of sleep, it's scary how much of your life is spent at work.
So if you do work correctly, you love the people at work. You don't say it. You know, no one's going to say it. But really, if you think about it.
I say it.
If you kill everybody around you, if you kill everybody out here, you know what you're going to do? You're going to cry. And you know how long you're going to cry for? You're going to cry for
the rest of your life in some form.
Long time. Yeah.
So how long were you in a daze? Are you still in that daze? Like at some level, right? Like, you know, I'm very close to my brother. We work together as well. Obviously, you can imagine how much your story hits with me, especially back to hiring friends. I mean, there's some similarities that obviously resonate. Just to people dealing with other traumas in their life right now, how do you break that down, that question?
First day I didn't cry.
First day you didn't cry.
October 21st, 2004.
Got it.
And the reason I know the date is because as I fell asleep with my wife, I said, you know, I didn't cry today. And it sort of resonated, because what would happen is someone would just say someone's name.
Anything.
Or bring something up. And then your mind's eye, you see them and you see their face. And they got killed right then and there. Right? Because you couldn't process it all, right?
No,
So what happens is I would just start crying and then okay, it would go away. So you still see it like when I tell these stories sometimes. So, you know, so after 9/11, so we planned this memorial. Okay, so first of all, I call my friend, he runs food and beverage at the Pierre Hotel. So I say, I need a place to get together. His name is Arthur. And so he says, well, I got all the parties and stuff. I go, they're all going to get canceled. So he gives me his hotel. He gives me the hotel. and we tell all the families come.
Yep.
And thousands of people are there.
Of course.
And they're just there because they don't have any information.
What
they have no
date is
knowledge.
that?
This is like the next day, right? The next day, like I don't know, 12th or 13th, we start getting together at the pier, and they're all together, and I tell them everything I know, and that we haven't found one survivor, and I send in everyone to hospitals, but there's no survivors. There's a couple of people who got burned in the lobby, but that's it. And so we're all together, and the New York Times comes, and some reporter like hides in the back and watches me with all the families and watches me give my talk, and they write like a beautiful story. Okay. It's like the 15th of September. They write a beautiful story about Cantor Fitzgerald and us taking care of the families and all that sort of stuff. And then, so then that's
little
that's in the press.
different than the Time story they wrote about you.
Oh, wait till, oh man. You know, we all know they build you up, and for one reason and one reason only, and that's to rip you down. That's always the case.
Back to America's greatness, only to Britney's back, bitch. You know, only to build you back up a second time. I mean, the yo-yo that is the way America works is fascinating.
So they build me, so they write these nice stories, but I'm not paying attention.
Of course
I
not.
don't care.
Fucking
What do I
church
care?
where you that's a 57,000th thing on your list.
All right, so we plan our memorial. Our memorial is going to be October 1st, something like that, right around there. And so we plan it in Central Park, right, in like Summer Stage. And so we go there to have this memorial, and there's 5,000 people. Because these 658 people who died, they got husbands and wives, sons and daughters, parents, cousins, best friends, everybody. So there's 5,000 people. So Rudy Giuliani comes. He's the mayor, right? He comes in the back of the stage, right? He comes up on the stage. So he comes, sits next to me on the stage. He looks out, and there's like a sea of people. And he leans over to me and goes, who the fuck are all these people? Because he was thinking he was going through like a little town hall.
Yeah.
Right? And he has no idea. And he looks out at the sea of people, and I go, and I tell him that story. 658 people with their families. This is so my LA office, it's my best office. Okay, these guys are outrageously successful producers, okay, in equity. So they make us a lot of money. Okay? And they say they're closing the office, they're gonna fly in for the memorial. And then they say to me, I gotta meet you after. And this is really bad because I know what's gonna happen, right? You got a hub and spoke.
Yeah, of course.
Think about a hub and spoke. So the hub is dead. It's
Yeah,
gone. It's obliterated. Now the spoke, and these guys, they could go across the street. They could work for anybody, and they can make tons of dough. And I know what they're going to do. They're going to tell me, "I'm sorry, Howard. We love you. I'm going to make a nice donation to the families, but we got to go, and we're going to go across the street. And I'm sorry." And then the whole thing's going to, sort of unravel, and I'm screwed. So we have this memorial. It's a monstrous thing, and incredibly emotional and brutal. So I go back to my apartment, and they're all there. The whole office, 12 guys. And they're all in my living room. So I walk in the living room, and my heart is exploding out of my chest because I know this is it.
Yep.
They're gonna, and they all stand up, and they surround me, and they say, "We're never leaving." And
That's awesome.
And I just want to tell the story that these people, like I told the LA Times, like at the 5-year anniversary, I wanted to go tell this story so that their friends who see them at the country club, that you realize these are superheroes. Yeah. This is someone who went from making, $5 million a year to making 100,000, so he could help other people and build their families back up and grow and build, and they never left. Like they stayed with me and they never left, and they helped us rebuild the company. And so the only way a guy like me can rebuild, right? You got to realize it's on the shoulders of other people. If anybody says, "Oh, Howard, you did it," it's like, no. What we did is you reap the seeds that you sow.
Of course, it's like sports, right? Of course there's going to be star players or a captain of the team, but it's a fucking team. I don't know how people are confused by this.
We announce we're going to give 25%. I announced on Larry King that we're going to give 25% of our profits to the families of the people who got killed. Because the other people in the trade center are they're going to keep their the salaries going for dead people till the end of the year.
Yep.
So the common thing was, which was extraordinary, by the way, because no one pays dead people
of course.
salaries after they die.
For the kids that are under 35 who are listening right now, which I know is a lot, you know, and I know world events, Pearl Harbor, Vietnam War. I know world events, the assassinations of the 60s. I know I'm very into history, and I know world events that happened prior to me, and I'm very fascinated by it. I fucking watched JFK's assassination 17,000 times. Like, that's just, you know, something that captivates me. It just is the way it is. Like, you don't know what it's really like unless you live through it. You also have to understand, internet's super new, but social media is not here yet. So 9/11 happens, and a person like me, who at the time is 25, is going on .coms. But most people, again, kids, you need to understand this, most people are barely using the internet, if not using it at all. So, you know, TV, all this stuff, but you can't comprehend. And by the way, it's also a little bit local, right? We have these devastating hurricanes in Tampa. I promise you right now, if you live in Tampa, you're waking up this morning feeling very different than the way you and I woke up this morning and went about our day. I remember being completely flabbergasted, even though it was an American event. I was in the wine business at the time. Just the way when I spoke to my business friends that owned wineries in Napa on September 11th, on September 28th, they were kind of moving on in a very like nothing happened manner. And we're fucking in New York, New Jersey, and it's like, I don't know, it really was an entire year, like, of everything. I remember I was actually flying to Australia when the lights went out at JFK. I don't know if you know this story, remember this. A year later, there was a complete blackout at JFK on a flight. I was in the airport, and you thought it's happened again. I mean, it was just, there was a lot of trauma in this area, and you can't comprehend how big of a deal this was. You just can't. There is no current event that has happened in America in under 35-year-olds' lifetime. So like when people were donating salaries to dead people, every piece of television, there were specials, and it was a surreal month.
Sort of stop the bleeding of the company, right? Because we've got everyone who survived wants to get paid. And we don't have any revenue because everybody, like the show, the guy who runs the show gets killed. This is not a show without you.
Yep.
Right? So whatever the money associated with this is, if you lose your talent, sorry, you got nothing.
Yeah, to remind, again, to do a little color commentary, the markets collapse. Like, the world is in a frenzy. We don't know if we're going into a world war. Like, you know, just fear. You can't comprehend the level of fear. And so, you know, back to the tough position that everybody found themselves in that was as affected as Cantor, and very few were affected as much, as, you know, the world moves on. Like, the next day happens, and a lot of money has evaporated, but real life has to kick in October, November, December, and going into 2002, excuse me.
I announced on Larry King we're going to reopen, and that we're going to give 25% of our profits to the families. But, I mean, come on, let's face it. Yeah. How much profits are we going to make? Come on, it's like we're destroyed. So the press decides 25% of nothing.
Is nothing.
Is nothing. And they start ripping me.
Did you put a timeline on that?
So for 5 years, but at least 100,000 a family. And if it takes me the rest of my life, I'll do it at least 100,000 per family, which would be $65 million. And I'll pay for your health care for 10 years, no matter what.
Look, I just don't understand the logic of like what's there to rip, but I don't know. I have to go back and read it.
You know, a guy dressed like me can't be crying. You know, it's like, here's your personality, your CEO guy. How could you cry with the mass murder of everybody works for?
Yeah, and I'm sure, like, from 30 to 40, as you were becoming the titan of the world, I'm sure there's some people that you ran into in New York City that you rubbed the wrong way.
Come on. Me, a guy like me.
You know, so.
Anyway,
yep.
so they start ripping me. Bill O'Reilly was a TV personality every night. So I start getting death threats. Right, but here's what we're really doing, because I agree with him. 25% of our profits was not going to be anything. But we were giving 25% of our payroll.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not going to announce that. That's not the way it works. So if we offered you a job for $200,000, I said, listen, I can only give you $150, but we're going to send 50 to the families. So every 2 weeks, we start sending money to the families. And then but I'm just worried about stopping the bleeding first, because I got to figure out how to make the company survive, because we're just losing money and the families need money and I don't know what to do. So I take my $100 million, I send it out to the families. I just send it out.
Okay.
So we give a check for I put $5 million in the relief fund. I covered the bleeding for $3 million, and I send $92 million out to the families in October. And then the media just stops. Because what do you do when someone does what they say they're going to do? So then they leave me alone in silence. So we start hiring people, and just to stop the bleeding, make the company survive, decide which divisions are going to stay open and which are going to close. And then I just tourniquet the place and cry. Basically, that's what happens. In the next couple of years, I tourniquet and cry. Yep. And when I stop crying at the end of 2004, then I decide, okay, I want my company back. So here's what I learned. I learned that if you hire people who are available, just who are available, that's a fourth quartile hire, the bottom. If you ask your headhunters, send me 1,000. This is for scale. I'm talking about scale, not one person. I'm talking about hiring scale. You want to hire hundreds of people. If you ask headhunters to send you resumes, and they send you 1,000 resumes, and you pick 300 of them, that's a third quartile hire. A little better, but not much better. If you want the best people, there's only one way to do it. Ask people who you trust and you rate highly.
I'm going to jump in here for people who might be on the beginning of their journey. I love what Howard said here. This is just kind of going off the reservation just to bring value in this podcast for a certain group. Disproportionately, the thing that has worked for me, and disproportionately what I've seen on the boards I'm on, startups I'm invested in, and in dinner circles and things when businessmen and women run around, disproportionately how you grow from a small place is always ask the one, literally the way I built this 2,800 person company was the first good hire I made. Because at first you're making not even good hires. The first good hire, I'm like, who else did you work with in agency land that was good? Mickey Cloud, big shout out to you, gave me a couple, Lise Bartlett, others. And literally the first 50 employees that were good, that worked in other places, once I decided they were good, their word of mouth on somebody else that was good was hitting at like a 60 to 80% hit rate versus the randomness of every other way.
Yeah, so people think their HR department is supposed to go out.
It's hard.
No, here's what you do. You go to your staff.
100%.
Who you love. And you go to the people you know, who you respect, and you say to them, listen, we got an opening in HR, right? We have an opening in HR. Do any of you know anybody?
Yep.
And you got to vouch for them, and you got to stand by.
And you got to ask the right question. I remember this just triggered. I'm like, here's what I like about you. And this is what I want. Not somebody, like, you've got to be very direct, right? You know, like, I'm just like, look, these are the three things why you're winning here. I just want that.
Yeah, that's really good. So we would do, so I leaned on everybody I knew, who I say I rated, but it means I rated them highly.
Yeah, of course.
And I called everybody and said, look, I can't do it this way.
Yeah.
I need you. And then imagine me calling you after 9/11 and saying, can you help me?
Yeah.
Everybody helped me. And they gave me their guy. Like they'd say, you know what? You can have my CFO. I'll get another one. You need it now. And people stepped up with me and they gave me, I hired 4,000 people from 2005 to the first quarter of 2006.
I just need everybody to hear that story. All this bullshit that traditional media and the humans, because social media is empty, to remind all of you, and the humans that are unhappy and cynical, all this bullshit that the world pushes on you that confuses you, Howard just unconfused you. I'm gonna say this nice and slow for the kids in the back. 99.999% of the fucking world is minimally decent to good. We have become fixated on the 0.0001 of the garbage, and it has eaten up all the fucking oxygen. Listen to what this man said. People are literally giving him the ability to hire some of their best people who are his competitors, of course, reacting to a trauma event, but still understand that humans step up in this manner. It's true. Stop with all the bullshit of negativity. Go ahead.
Right after 9/11, we have passwords. Okay, so you like password protect.
Yep.
So I got, everyone's got a password. We have a password depository like at the firm. You give, you go around over there and you tell people. And then we had off-site under 2 World Trade Center, by the way, 15-minute walk.
Right.
So everybody's dead. The repository's dead. And the off-site repository is destroyed. So you know what we did? Microsoft sent me 50 people. And we went to our backup site. And 50 people flew in and they broke into our systems. They worked all day, every day. break in. And they sent them for free. They just put them on a plane and sent them there.
They're nerds.
Nerds to break in. So I had people there breaking in. How about Cisco?
Nerds always come through in the clutch.
You know the firm Cisco?
Of course.
They sent to my backup site, they sent 20 18-wheelers with every piece of equipment known to mankind as far as the eye could see. So if we needed something like modems or this and that, they just take it off the truck and bring it in. These people were amazing. Yeah, one company, my direct competitor, thought this was, he literally wrote an email because it came out in a lawsuit, wrote an email, this is my chance to blow a hole in the rest of the place. So of all the people on Wall Street, one asshole, massive asshole, by the way, don't want to understate it, and everybody else, saint. So basically, barbells. You're either a saint or you're an asshole, right? But no in between. So basically what I said is these kind of events.
It doesn't sound like a barbell either, right? Like that would mean that there's even weight. It sounds like one massive asshole, right?
Fair.
Not a barbell.
Not a barbell.
A little big little asshole over here, and just a big, just back to my 99% thing that the world, like, right? Pretty cool.
Well, everybody was made. I'll give you an example. So
is the massive asshole still alive?
He's retired, and
we should go over his house. Jersey, Long Island style.
I got to get by these things, but So here's an example. Like, so we open for business. Okay, we're open for business. It's like Monday. Okay, so Monday after Tuesday is 9/11. We're going to open for business to try to operate. Okay, and so I said, all right, look,
like literally the 17th.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got to open. So I don't know if the systems are going to work. How the hell do I know? I got my backup systems. I jammed in things. I changed things. I just ripped things. It's not going to work. So we say, look, one trade per account. One trade per account. Christ. And we'll see what water spills on the ground, and we'll fix it up. Fidelity, the giant money manager, we all know. The guy who runs it calls me, and he says, listen, our board has met, and we've decided we're going to do all our business with you today.
Jesus.
And I'm like, no.
You can't handle it.
No.
You're like,
don't do it. They go, sorry, the board met. We know it won't work out well. We know it, but we're cool with it. We're sending a runner over with all our orders. Good luck. And he hangs up. And I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, my God. So we get all this business.
Of course.
We just hired a few people. We have no idea. So it's mayhem. And we do whatever business we can do. We possibly do all their business. It's unbelievable. All these people are like trying to help us. But I go home that night and my wife says, so what happened today? I go, we were killed with kindness. Mm-hmm. Like I announced I was hungry and everyone in the world stuck a piece of bread in my mouth. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that doesn't really work out for the guy with the bread in the mouth.
Of course.
So I said, we got 2 days to settle this stuff. So what happens is I got JP Morgan. They're my bank. Okay? So they say, okay, you want me to settle this stuff? Sign the firm over to me.
Jesus.
So they give me a document. I give it to my lawyer who survived. And I say, what do you think?
What do we do with this?
He goes, this is the worst document I've ever seen in my whole life. I go, well, what do you suggest? He goes, well, let's sign it. So we just signed it. Like, we didn't even change it. We're like, okay, fine. Like, they own the firm. If it screws up, okay, whatever. So
there's only so many options at this point.
Okay, so we've got all the business that was happening before September 11th that we're supposed to pay for. Like, remember, we're like the center of the world of finance, right? We're the buyer and seller of everything. Yep. So we got tens of billions coming in, and we have no idea where it goes out. So we got to bail out the old stuff. So think about it. You got to bail out the bathtub while the water's pouring in.
Yeah, of course.
Because the new stuff's going to go fail.
Yeah, of course.
So here's the thing. So it's like the next Thursday. That's when it's all going to settle. Okay? Did we bail out enough of the old stuff? So when the new stuff fails, because the bank said, it goes like this. Every day, you started with $70 billion in errors. Okay? $70 billion in errors. I'll let you live as long as that doesn't go up $1. If it goes up $1, you're out, right? So as long as it's coming down and you're getting the water out, I'll let you live, but you got to show me you got responsibility to get it out. So we start with 70 billion out. So we open for this business. We do this giant day of Fidelity and all this thing, insane. Now I go over to the bank. I'm sitting at the bank and they got these, I'm waiting for the computer screen to come up and to tell me what the number is at the end of the day. How much, because if it's 71, finished. Yep. It comes up 55. 55 billion. So you see me, I leap on the desk and I do my Hulk Hogan. Yeah. I'm like, and think about it. I'm like crying all day. And if you saw a video,
You're telling all the kids in the bank to eat their vitamins and say their prayers.
So you'd think I'm like, I just won the lottery.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like that because what happens is now I have a company.
Yeah, of course, you're back.
So then I call my the outside firm who's like doing PR. I don't even know who they are. And I said, look, we got to announce that we're going to take care of the families. We're going to do this 25% thing.
Yep.
So then I go on Larry King. Oh, so then from there, this is the best. So you understand it. From there, I've got my head of North America, Joe Shea, fantastic guy, and it's his funeral. So I go from the bank where I'm standing on the table doing a Hulk Hogan, and I go to his funeral, St. James Church on the Upper East Side, beautiful church. So I go there, and he was such an incredibly popular guy. So huge church, they're pouring out in the street, they're everywhere for this guy. Young guys, 40, young 40s. So I go in the church, I go in the front, I say hello to his wife. I kiss his wife. I sit in the second row. They give me the mass card, okay? They hand me the mass card. I look at the mass card, and there's a picture of Joe Shea. Right next to it is a picture of his brother, Danny. And I hadn't processed Danny dying. Like I knew Joe died, so I was like ready for it, but I hadn't thought about Danny.
And Danny worked in the company?
Of course. So Danny died because we had 20 sets of brothers we lost. So we employed 50. So Danny gets killed to me right at that second.
Yeah, of course.
So I can't stop crying. Yeah. So I get up, I walk out of the church, the thing starts. I sit on the steps of the church and water's like, I lose it. So water's like pouring out of me like a hose out of my face. And I'm sitting on the hose, I'm sitting there crying, and then a black car pulls up. Some woman who works in some PR company I never heard of comes walking over to me and says, we booked you on Larry King, we gotta go. So I'm like this mush sob, and I go to Larry King, and all Larry King wants me to do is cry. So he's talking about the people dying, the people dying. So I start crying on TV, and I'm like, I can't watch it. And then Larry King, of course, uses me crying as his in his montage to start the show for the next 2 years. Every time Larry King is on, I just see myself crying. I'm like, hey, great. So that's me in the beginning, like mush meat. But, we keep it together. We build the company. Then after I stop crying, 2005, I hire everybody. I borrow $500 million. I put everything of my life on the line and borrow all the money and pour it back into the firm. Split the company in two because my two divisions, when you're all making money, everybody's a friend.
Right.
When it's life or death, it's life or death.
Especially, and in business world, if one division's making the money and the other's not, it starts to change things.
It was war. So I split them in two, and we went out to do businesses, and off we went. So we start building our business. By 2008, now all the employees are given 25% of their pay.
Yep.
We give the families $180 million. $180 million, sending it out to the families and paying for their health care. Right? So the families in the firm become really tight. My sister runs a relief fund. My sister's shredded, got a broken heart because it was only me, my sister, my brother. Right? And when he dies, that's like, she's gone, but she runs my relief fund. And together, we're going on. And now the company's strong enough that I can take a division public and let's go. We're going to build the place back in a big, big way. But how do I go forward in my life and try to become a successful guy when I have all my employees? They all gave 25% of their pay. So you got this guy, remember the guy who gave $200,000? So I employed someone for $200,000. They gave $50,000. They're making $150,000. They gave $50,000. Then they give $60,000. Then they give $70,000. Then they give $80,000. Then they give $90,000 because they keep getting raises.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So that person's giving $350,000 to my families. And he didn't even know them because he just employed after, just being a great human being. Right? So I got all these employees. They're just fantastic human beings. How do I go on with my life, become some rich guy when I have all these people give that? So I can't do it. So here's what I do. It's 2008, right into the hurricane of the financial crisis. But my company's strong enough, and I got to take care of these families, and I got to rebuild our company. So we take the company public, but it's a weird IPO. I give those employees 15% of the company from mine. I just give it to them. In the IPO, they sell, each employee sells enough
to cover
and give them back their $350, which they never were expecting. And then, of course, I double it. because they
win.
saved my life.
Yeah.
No, they saved my life.
I get it.
My insides were
I get it.
shredded, and it was them who sewed it back together again. So my employees, they own 30% of the company. What do they own now? 30% of the company. What was my turnover like? 0. Who's leaving that company? For years, I would say every new person has to go out with an old person because the older person who was here older me and they were at the firm for 5 or 10 years, so that they would say, do you have any idea what kind of company this is? This is a special company because we gave and then they gave back. So I squared it with everybody.
Yep.
Like that was the thing. I had to square it with them so I could go forward with my life.
Of course.
So my employees still own 30% of the 2 public companies. Still to this day, I get 20%. The public has 50. And that's how it works. And that sort of 2008, and that then launches me into the rest of the world. And then 2008, I can tell you tons of stories about the financial crisis.
At 63, what do you think is the thing in business, but you can obviously layer it any way you want. In the last 15 years, what do you think is the thing that you've most changed your mind on? That if we did this podcast when you were 48, and I asked you a series of business questions, what do you think you would answer differently with the benefit of the last 15? Something that caught you off guard, something that you used to have conviction about, that now you've had an event or 2 or 7, or just the ability to observe more. The beautiful grays on your beard, they come with value. Anything stand out?
I'd say the primary word that I learned was pivot. You're in your lane. You got it. You know what you're doing. Okay? But that is not going to stay with you for your life. You need to know that the pivot must happen.
Right.
Or you're just degrading. You're declining. Declining all the time. You're just going.
Even if at the top of your craft,
oh yeah,
as time goes on, things will change too much and will weaken that strength, and you'll miss opportunities if you're not in love with the pivot.
You gotta look for the pivot.
And is that because prior to the way you answered that, do you think you were in a mindset of like, look, I'm fucking phenomenal at this. Let me not get distracted like all these other fucking jokers. I'm gonna fucking milk the fuck out of it.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Exactly. So I would have probably stayed in my lane because this is the lane that's got.
Right, I know it.
Come on. It's
I made money. I understand
goose
it.
that's
Yeah.
golden eggs. I don't want the goose to go outside. I don't want the goose to go anywhere.
What happened? What, you saw something change? You missed it? Was it a missed opportunity, or the goose was getting a little thinner?
No, what happened is I got knocked off the lane. So I was trying to climb back into the lane, and as I'm climbing back into the lane, then now my view is different. And I realized that when you're climbing the mountain, and let's say you're free climbing the mountain, okay?
Good analogy.
You don't look around at the view,
no.
Okay? I would be scared to death. I'd be looking at the rocks right in front of me. And then what happens is you get to the top of the hill, and all of a sudden there's a view.
Right.
And then you decide which way you're gonna go.
Right.
And so you gotta realize that while you're in your lane, you're just staring at the rocks. And if you can get your head up and look around, every once in a while you'll see a new view, because if you're really good at your lane, then the next path will present to you, but you have to be awake enough to see it. If you're just staring at the rocks, you'll never see it. So I think the most important word that I learned was pivot. You're not just jumping out of this into that. That's baloney.
Yeah, of course.
What you really got to do is you got to twist and take what you're great at and then go that way and go this way.
Which thing in the last 15 years do you think you were most wrong about? You were like, social media is a fad, or AI stupid, or China will never be big, or like out of all the things you think about, or like Uber's a stupid idea, like, just for fun, because I think it really brings value when someone has had the level of success you've had. If you can think about the last 20 or so years, what thing did you like see over a dinner? Like somebody's like, hey, you should look at this Facebook thing. You should invest. Like any fun stuff like that?
Yeah, well, look,
I mean, it's impossible not to.
Amazon was bullshit. Okay, Amazon takes Ritz crackers and sells Ritz crackers where it makes a 2% margin and puts it in as sales of gross revenues. So people say, oh, Amazon's the king of the world. They're selling other people's stuff.
Yeah,
and they just make it a small margin. But God let them go public and get away with it. Okay? It was awesome. So I used to tell people, this is bullshit. All they do is lose money. But you know what? If God lets you get away with it. So every once in a while, there's certain people that God lets get away with it. They would never let anybody else get away with it. I mean, think about it. If I did my gross revenues was the value of the bonds I sold.
Sure.
I'd be the world's biggest company. I'd be like, $9 trillion. Howard is the best.
Howard, you know this better than I do. This was in the prime, you were in it. God let pets.com go public too. God let Cosmo, right? I mean, they did get to the other side of it.
Correct.
For that, what was it? April, it was that spring of 2000.
Oh yeah,
of 2000.
We did it
Everything
too.
went to zero, on the internet. But PayPal, eBay, Amazon hung on long enough to get to the other side.
Well, they let Amazon get away with my revenues include the value of the products I'm selling.
That's how they let publishers do shit.
So I got the wrong. I saw that Airbnb and Uber, they just Uber broke the taxi laws, Airbnb broke the hotel laws, but they get away with it. So if you can get away with it, you're a rock star, right? FanDuel and DraftKings, they broke the gambling rules, in all these states. But they gave them a license at the end and let them get away with it. So that was good. I think the thing that I pivoted best to was crypto. That pre-2020, I thought it was for scammers and crooks.
Right.
Okay, but then when the government said banks could get involved in it, I said, "Oh shit! I better
This is a get away with it moment." Right. And by the way, just so everyone, I think people get confused. I'm like, get away with it means you navigated it, right? He doesn't really again. Get away with it is whether it's legal entities, government entities, the market, like the general consumer market. Like, get away with it is slang for navigated through the choppy waters to get to the other side. When you saw that, you understood that was one of those moments in something you really understood.
Correct. So then I pivoted hard.
Yeah.
And I went to meet everybody in crypto. Everybody. I went to see Sam Bankman-Fried. Right? It took me 2 meetings to realize the guy was a crook.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 meetings, and the second meeting, the guy was a crook. So.
You know what's? I apologize, but I really want to give you these flowers. You and I had a meeting with your incredible son, and I remember what happened at the end. We had a nice meal. I talked all my spiel about my universe, and you said something that I live on. Which, I'm sure this is how you see the world too. When people do things that you also do, there's a warmth to that, right?
Totally.
And you understand it. And I remember we just kind of, I probably talked for 17 minutes without a breath. And at the end, you kind of looked at Brandon and you just said, I like this guy. I'll never forget this about you because it's really how I see the world. You're like, there was a lot of things I didn't understand, but I fully understood it. Right? You said, I understand it. It made sense to me.
Right.
I genuinely believe common sense is a topic that is not talked enough about in 2024.
Totally.
When you say that there was a startup, I don't want to blow up the guy's spot, that everybody invested in. Like everybody in Silicon Valley years ago. And I took 2 meetings and I'm like, this just makes absolutely zero common sense. And it was an iconic failure in the early stage startup land that got like $170 million valuation. It literally never made a penny in its life. It literally made no sense. And literally, if you showed any person, they would all understand it made no sense, but it caught the wave of the Silicon Valley thing. And I just remember you saying that. And to me, obviously I've known about you from afar, given everything you've been through. I left that dinner not too long ago, we're just getting to know each other now, saying, now I understand. Because that's what works for me. Like, if you can't understand, this is just a good fucking lesson to everybody.
Totally.
Whether you're putting $10 into something or 1,000, like people ask me all the time, especially the kids, literally at the Jets parking lot last night, 17 different 15-year-olds. Gary, what should I put my money into? And I swear my answer was something you fucking understand.
Something
Whether
you
that's
understand.
Sports cards, sneakers.
Oh my God, something you understand.
Something you
it's the
fucking
most
understand.
important thing. Something you must understand. Like, while you were saying that, I said, I hope to God he says something you understand.
Something
and
you
then
fucking understand.
That's it.
That's
Don't
it.
invest in someone else's bullshit.
It's just really bad. Like if you don't understand it, you are going to likely lose.
You're gonna just lose
it's just
money.
the way it is. This goes back to stay in your lane, but get educated and expand your lane. Listen to what fucking Howard said. I decided, I saw a moment, oh, wait a minute, they're gonna let real banks get into crypto? That means we've tipped over.
Correct.
Let me go meet everybody, and then I will decide.
Correct. And I decided I love Tether. And that's why I do Tether.
Yeah, I get
And that's why I'm their lead advisor and guide and sponsor and everything at Tether. But I met everybody. I met every crook, guys in prison, jerkamos, rip-off artists.
People that have won. Yeah.
But you know what? If, you know,
last 5 minutes is your floor, sir. What do you want them to know? Anywhere you want. So, story, 10, 15 things on top of your head, wherever the fuck you want to take.
How do you win in life? You're going to college, okay? You take all these courses. Most of them don't sing to you. Pick one thing and be great at it. Drive yourself to be great at one thing.
Do you think you should like it because the amount of time and effort needed to get there? Like, talk to me about the kids or even the 40-year-olds who are thinking about pivoting right now about the concept of, I'm good at this, but I don't like it.
Colleges learn how to learn, okay? Colleges learn how to learn, okay? There's no, like, think about this. You're going to take a business course. Look at the professor. The professor has no idea about business or they wouldn't be teaching a business course. They have no idea about money. So here's the point. Learn how to learn. So a professor can teach you how to learn.
Interesting.
So you can study like Italian Renaissance art history. Why? Because what he's saying is, here's 50 years. Let's really study how to understand those 50 years. So then you learn how to understand how to get out there. Because once you graduate college, no one's teaching you shit for the rest of your life. So you might as well learn how to learn. So college is learn how to learn. High school is color inside the lines, okay? The teacher who's given up her life.
No wonder I failed.
Honestly,
I swear to God, literally, listen, that made so much fucking sense to me. I'm like, there it is.
So think about this. I sit down with my kids. So I have a different kind of conversation with my kids. They come home and they say, teacher doesn't like me. Right. I go, how's your life? My kid's life. I go, your life is amazing, right? Your teacher, how much does she make? Okay? Yeah. And what she's given up her whole life to teach you. Whose job is it?
Yeah.
Is it your job that you are supposed to have her like you? Or are you so great at being a 12-year-old that she has to like you? Oh, she doesn't like me, so I'm getting a bad grade. How about this? If she doesn't like you, you get an F.
Yeah.
How about that? How about your job is, if she tells you, color inside the lines, raise your hand, just do me a favor. Make her like you. Do what she asks, because that's your job. When you go to college, right, then we challenge, then we talk, learn how to learn, okay? And when you're done with college, right, then you had better learn how to learn it. So what I think is pick one thing in college and be great at it. What
if you find it earlier? These, unlike the way you and I grew up, these kids' exposure, 12 to 8, right?
Fair.
Man, fuck.
But I'm old, so I know
that's why I'm jumping.
Thoughts. These things are old thoughts.
No. But I think they're I'm gonna give you a little flower here. They're classically right thoughts. It's just the optionality's so different.
Fair.
Like these fucking kids are so blessed.
And I just learned that now. That is
right.
As you said it.
Yeah.
Like when someone says something and you know it's true, it like comes on you like a ton of bricks. And what you just said is true. That optionality is there. So be great.
That's something.
Learn to be great at something. I don't care what it is, because that greatness will then help you on the next thing you do. Right. Learn to be great. Find greatness, meet greatness, learn to be great. Everything in your life should be great. So let's say you take 4 courses and you suck at 3. Don't suck at 4. If you suck at 4, you suck.
Yes.
Okay? But pick one and say, all right, I'm going to get straight A at this. Because you know what? I see it. I like it. To prove to your parents, to your friends, to yourself.
That part.
That you can be great. So when you go into life, I'll always be great.
That shit report card in the top frame up there, all D's and F's, one class, A's and B's, predominantly B's, history. At the time, I had no idea why, but using pattern recognition and history telling me the future, all of my great bets of seeing around corners are just me using context of the past.
And there it is.
That's it.
So become great.
Yep.
And that will help you in your life.
Howard, thank you for being great on this podcast and life, all the things you've done, and I wish you nothing but health and happiness.
Thanks for having me. This is so much fun.